order. It's not that serious, but he really thinks that it is. So my holiday tip is going to be organization. I know y'all are all waiting for Dara to do the packaging, so I'll try to be as quick as I can. Do I need to not stand there? Oh, okay. You move that. Yeah, let me just move it. I just need to be able to see my notes. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing for just a few minutes. Susan asked me to talk to y'all about organization. I did a little bit of training at our success nights, and a lot of people have asked me a little bit more about it. So I'm going to give you kind of a Reader Digest version, and then if anybody wants information, I'll give you my email at the end, and y'all can follow me on Facebook also. All right, so I am a firm believer that we need to be good steward of our time. Colossians in the Bible talks about it a lot. So what I do to stay organized helps me shave time off of things that I do in life. So I know that with all the holidays coming up, everybody's schedules are going to be ridiculous. So hopefully what I share with you will help you make more valuable times that you have. Okay? So I know that everyone does not have the gift of organization. So some of you have already tuned me out because you've accepted that you're going to live in a hot mess of a life. So I'm here to give you hope. So get your notepads out and take notes. I will give you this disclaimer. I use Apple products, so a lot of the apps that I'm going to tell you about, I only have a few that I'm going to give you because I know we're probably running low on time. But they are Apple apps. I've kind of tried to do some research to see what's available on Android, but I'll just kind of give you my search criteria. So any of you that use Android, I'm sorry, but you can search for it and hopefully find something that is equivalent. And I'm also a huge believer in being prepared if you're going to speak. So when Susan asked me, I spent like a whole day researching and doing stuff. So y'all just bear with me while I use my notes, okay? All right, so everything starts with lists. So I'm going to kind of give you some groundwork, and then I'll tell you about one of the apps that I use. So when things get out of control, I kind of go into organization mode, and I grab a notepad, and I sit down, and I grab my bags and everything that I have, and we sit down. All right, so who feels like they have information everywhere? Their bags, their phone, their desk, everywhere. Okay? So I feel like I always have a random pile of sticky notes, torn pieces of paper, napkins that I've written on, business cards I've written on the back of, emails, text messages, voice memos, you name it. I've got information everywhere. So let me give you this really quick idea real quick. Whenever I am texting people, I probably text 90% of any communication I do with people is through text. So a lot of times I'll be texting someone and I'll tell them I'll do something, or they'll ask me to do something, they'll send me an order, whatever it is, it's in a text message, but then you keep texting them and that info goes way up high on the thread and it's gone. So unless you're going to go back at the end of the day and scroll through every text thread to figure out what you told people you would do, what I do is if someone sends me an order or somebody asks me to do something, I take a screenshot at that moment of my text. Does that make sense? Does everybody know how to do a screenshot on your phone?
No, not really.
Okay. Everybody has different phones, so research how to do a screenshot. On the iPhone, you do the power button and the home button at the exact same time, and anything you're looking at that moment, it takes a picture of and puts it into your photo album. So, again, whatever is on my screen at that moment in my text, I take a picture of, and it saves it in my photo album. All right, so that's just kind of a little tidbit on that. So at the end of the day, after my kids go to bed, I sit down and get everything out, whatever I've jotted to myself that day. I call it a brain dump. So I get my notepad, I get it all out, I open up my phone, and I scroll through all the pictures and see, did I save anything that day? If it's something, okay, this so-and-so needs a mascara, I'll write it down, delete the picture. Then I go through my voice memos. If I'm driving, I'll take voice memos to myself of things I need to do. So I go through there, listen to them, write it down, delete the voice memo. Same thing with emails. Anywhere you have stored information throughout the day, if you've crammed it in your purse, dump your purse upside down, and we're going to organize it. All right, so what I do is go through all the different places that I just mentioned, and then I have an app that's called To Do. Pretty simple. I did pay for it. I want to say it was like $5, so it's kind of expensive for an app, but you can search for to-do apps, and there's literally thousands of them, so you'll have to kind of figure out the one that works for you. I brought my iPad to try to show y'all, but I don't think that's going to be very beneficial. So if you want to see it afterwards, you can come see me. But what I do is I take all of the things that I've written down and all the things that I've stored, and I put them into categories. So for instance, in this particular app that I use, it allows you to create folders, checklists, notes, you name it. So I have different folders. I have one for my church. I have one for Mary Kay. I have one for things I need to do at home. I have stuff that I need to do on the computer. I actually have one titled Things I Need to Talk to My Husband About, because our schedules are that crazy. So whenever I sit down, I go and I put everything into those categories. So for instance, if it's I need to call the doctor and reschedule an appointment, it goes into my text, email, or call category. For Mary Kay, I have tons, but just to give you an idea, I have one called Things to Create, holiday ideas, people to follow up with, things to do on InTouch, things to teach my girls, and just you come up with the categories and you can create them. So then I put everything into a specific category and then throw away all the paper and napkins and notes and everything that you have. So a lot of times whenever you have a free minute and you want to do something, you spend 30 minutes figuring out what is actually priority, and then you're out of time. So this way, if I'm riding in the car and I've got a 30-minute drive, I pull up my app and I go to phone calls and I look through, is there anybody that I can call right now? Because you don't have a lot of time sitting in the car, but I may not be able to wrap my brain around what all I can do in the car. So based on the time that you have, you can then knock out your tasks where you're at. All right, so that's just an idea on how to tackle that. So one thing that I also suggest, and I struggle with doing this even though that I know it works, is you can't really figure out what your 6 most important things are for the next day until you know what things you need to get done. So once you think of that, like I have 100 things to do, not just Mary Kay, but church and home. There's things I want to do, things that I don't want to do. So that whenever I worked in corporate America, they had us read this book. I cannot remember the title of it, but it had something to do with eating a frog. I know that sounds crazy, but if you search eating a frog, what it's talking about is picking the things that you absolutely don't want to do, and you do them first thing in the morning. So here's a couple of notes from that book. It says the idea is to put each task into one of these 4 categories. Things you don't want to do and you actually don't need to do. Things you don't want to do but you actually need to do. Things you want to do and actually need to do. And things you want to do but you don't need to do. So you can kind of figure out, like, I'll give you a very simple idea. In the morning, if I didn't do dishes from the night before, I despise doing dishes. So I will go clean every other room. I'll go spring clean a closet, and the dishes are still sitting there. So then I never get to the things I need to do because I'm avoiding doing the dishes. So if I just do the dishes, then you feel empowered that you overcame that, and then the whole rest of the day is way more productive. So basically, do the thing you don't want to do first whenever you have your list made. But I could literally talk all day on organizing. One little tidbit that I do want to throw in here, because I do believe that whenever you are given a platform, it's for a reason. And whenever I was kind of getting my thoughts together and praying about what I should talk about, this kept coming to my mind, and I kept telling God, that has nothing to do with organization, but I'm just going to say it so that I'm obedient and it's out there. One thing that on the topic of keeping harmony in your home is keeping the balance between your Mary Kay responsibilities and your life responsibilities. The Mary Kay opportunity is such a big potential that it's way easy to put that first, because we want to go from being a senior consultant to national in 2 months, right? I mean, I do. Who does it? So Mary Kay was a very wise, godly woman, and she based her company on the principle of God first, family second, and career third. So I'm not sure why we wouldn't take her advice, because you can obviously see her success. So my advice, and this is free tip, and then I'll go back to organization, is schedule regular date nights with your husband. I've been married, I know none of y'all are going to believe it, but this December will be 10 years that I've been married, and I adore my husband. And if we go longer than like 2 weeks without a date night, I get real grouchy. My love language is quality time and physical touch, so we always just kind of have this lingo to one another that I'll go tell him, my tank is empty, I need some alone time. So we'll schedule a date night. If you don't have a husband and you have kids, schedule a date night with your kids. I take my son on a date night, and it means the world to him. So you can't expect that the dates are going to happen, though. Your parties don't happen without scheduling them, and your dates will not happen unless you schedule them. So my husband and I have our calendar shared through an Outlook exchange. So I will literally send him a meeting request with lips and lipsticks and heels and all the emoticons, and I'll say, this night is taken. And he knows that if anything comes up from his church schedule or whatever, that night is not available. Of course, unless, somebody dies and he has got to go to the hospital or something, then I'll let him reschedule. But otherwise, it's taken. So that's great. Okay, so I know this was probably the most popular app that I taught at our Success Night, so I'll tell you about this. Who in here is a night person? Everybody. Who in here loves mornings? Yeah, I love coffee. Okay, so I think in my household there is something magical that happens between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. I know that sounds crazy, and I actually think that it's biblical to stay up late. I was reading in Proverbs the other day, and it talks about this virtuous woman. It says, she perceiveth that her merchandise is good, and her candle goeth not out by night. So, it's biblical to stay up late. So, it really is. When my kids go to bed, and the lunches are made for lunch, and the house is straight, and it's just like this perfect peace, I literally could conquer the world. But everybody else is not available, so I'm just sitting there like, who can I call? Like, it drives me nuts. So one night, that was happening to me, and I had like every energy in the world, which is rare. So I researched and found an app that allows me to schedule texts and emails for the next day. So what I do is I will sit there if I've got referrals to contact, or, it doesn't even have to be Mary Kay stuff. I have stuff that I think of telling my mom or my sister, and I don't want to bug them at 1 a.m. and then think I'm crazy. So I schedule it to go for the next morning. So you literally can sit there and type up a text and schedule a time for the next day to send it. So it allows you to be productive, but not. Because you can't send them at that exact moment. And I will tell you, the apps don't actually send the text immediately. Like, you can't say send at 9 and it's actually going to go at 9. It pops up a reminder, and you go into it, and all you have to do is hit send. So I know sometimes people think that's kind of cheesy.
My phone does that automatically. I don't need an app. But it's actually an older Samsung that does that. And I didn't even know it was an option unless I pushed. You should put options, and then it pops up. It'll say schedule message.